Hi everyone, how are you all? This is
3 or 4?
number 4. Well, I've just written number 4, so I hope it's number 4. Oh, I'm now really bright. Sorry, we were playing with the lighting and we're a bit bright. But oh well, that's not you don't really care about that.
How's everyone's week been so far? It's only Tuesday, isn't it?
It is only Tuesday. It's Tuesday at 2 p.m. We are in the Outside Bride.
So we're just going to see if anyone wants to come and join us.
Yes. Give it a moment.
What we might start doing, is that someone joining us?
Yeah. Hi Jem.
Hi Jem. We might start looking at maybe doing an evening one as well to catch people in the evenings. We'll see how that goes.
No, definitely. Sorry, I'm just getting the computer in the right place so I can see any questions that come in.
That's not a good hairstyle for me today, is it really?
No, or not good shirt on my part either. So, but this is one of my summery shirts I like to wear. The sun is shining. Well, we're shining actually. It's just gone a bit grey here, but it makes me smile.
So we have someone online. So shall we start with one of our questions?
Yes. So we've got 3 questions today. We've got. I'm absolutely unprepared. We had someone asking about a generator. Can you remember who, Emily? Talula, sorry. Basically, generator question, not quite sure what to go with. Got a TP wedding, bar, band, catering, etc., and was just after some general generator advice. Now, we were meant to have Dave on from Adicott Electrics, weren't we?
Yeah.
But he's cancelled, unfortunately. Something's come up at the last moment.
But we have asked him if he wouldn't mind messaging Talula just to give you a bit of a rundown what he thinks you should have. But Alan, you've got a bit of experience of working with generators in your events anyway, so do you want to give a bit of a rundown what you think?
Yeah, so Dave used to supply us with our generators when we were putting marquees up. So I've got a couple of thoughts, and I know these are slightly different to a couple of the answers that have been mentioned. But when we were doing our marquees and everything else, we would always get our generators and we'd go and collect them. And we would always have a minimum 20 kVA, which would be, we'd actually get 23 kVA. But there's quite a lot that this depends on. So it really depends on what your bulbs are, your light bulbs. Are they LED or are they old-fashioned ones because they use more energy? Is your band a guy with a guitar or a lady with a guitar? Or is it an 8-piece, 20-piece? Your caterers, are they using freezers, microwaves? What are those hot water Burkos, or are they, they're not, they're just gonna warm a few things through. So or they use gas. So there's really is a lot it depends on. What I would say is you don't want it to go wrong.
No.
This is your special day. Fingers crossed you're only having your special day once. And so you don't want it to go wrong. To be honest, I mean,
depending on what size you're going for, and if you're hiring it yourself, so I know you're doing a DIY, you're bringing everything in yourself, you're not going to too many suppliers, but look at the price difference as well, because if there's a difference between a 20 and a 25 kVA, for example, and it's pence, I personally, for my peace of mind, would go with a slightly bigger size.
Yeah, so if you think about it as 2 cars, if that's all right. You've got a small car, like a Ford Fiesta, if anyone knows what that is. That's a stupid thing to say, everyone knows what a Ford Fiesta is. And then you've got a big car with a big engine. They can both do the same journey. They can both tow the same trailer. However, if you think of the trailer as your load of your wedding, the little car is still going to be able to tow it, but it's going to scream the engine, probably be less economic on the fuel and use more fuel, etc., etc. The bigger car is going to cost a little bit more up front, but is going to deal with the situation better. And that's kind of the best analogy I can give for it. Sorry, very quickly. Actual load requirements is a black and white maths-based answer. You could work out the kilowattage or wattage of everything, and someone would actually be able to tell you that. I don't know how to do that. I have got a couple of other points very quickly. So I would say ask your TP company. They will know. They will know what lights they've put in. They will know what to recommend, and probably have a supplier they use. My last point is linked to that one. Is who's putting the power and distribution in? So if you've got a TP company, are they putting plug sockets everywhere, taking it back to one connector and you're now trying to find a generator, or do you not have any of that power and distribution in and you're trying to solve that? I really would speak to the TP company, but hopefully this has given you some background knowledge to understand what they're talking about.
To be honest with you, your TP provider should be putting your distribution in, because otherwise you will have a lot of public liability to be on your shoulders, really.
Yeah.
If you are taking it on and then putting your own lighting and stuff inside it, obviously you could be compromising their tents and their...
I know in the nice way, but we would get funny when people started going, no, just put up, we'll add all this later on. And we used to think, well, hold on, what if, because if you think about it, it was like 6, 7, we have a baby. Yeah. He's not asleep again. Hello, Joseph. So I definitely speak to the TP company, and hopefully this has given you some understanding. In my opinion, it should be 20-23 kVA, the minimum.
Is that a comment? I can't see it.
No, it says Leslie's joined us.
Hi Leslie,
hiya. But I've known 23 and 40 kVA to be the kind of standard across marquee weddings. But once again, it really does depend what you're plugging in. Yeah. Lights. So we had a question.
Stephanie.
Shall I find the question? Because I thought it was quite a good question. Stephanie, I would love recommendations for solar powered lighting products, lanterns, string lights, etc. We have our venue for 4 nights, so I love the idea of placing solar decorations that will automatically turn on at sunset. Also recommendations for rigging the lights. There are a lot of trees at our venue, but they don't have low branches. So I imagine in order to hang lanterns or lights, I'll have to run wires from tree to tree. Photo for reference. It's in the Outside Bride group, guys. Go and have a look.
We're in the Outside Bride group.
Oh yeah. It looks fantastic.
Well, Stephanie's in the US. It's worth noting. So that looks like a... So I'm ex-forestry commissioner, so I do a bit of mine. So this is a pine forest. They're not going to have many low-hanging branches, which can be a bit of a pain, but you also get that lovely lift from the canopy, because the canopy is nice and high. So if you've got the natural light coming through, it can be absolutely stunning. One thing to note, so obviously we only know about UK suppliers of fairy lights and festoons, so I don't know whether you can find someone of an alternative sort of situation in the US, or whether any of our companies would wish to go over. I know, darling. No. Shush, we're trying to work.
I love solar lights.
Solar lights are fab. Depending on what type of brightness you're looking for, sometimes your solar lights can be a little bit dim. Do you want to bring him into the picture?
Well, you keep talking and I'll look after him.
So look at the quality and the brightness of those bulbs on solar panels. So I've used a company called Lights for Fun, and the good thing with Lights for Fun is that they use a lot of daisy chaining, and I think they're called D-socket fairy lights and festoons, they're both the same, and you can daisy chain lots of lengths together. And the good thing with that as a company is that you can have them plugged into a regular socket, so if you wanted it to have it bright with electricity, you can have it plugged into a battery pack, and you can have it plugged into a solar marker packet as well. And they do everything from festoons to fairy lights to different dropping bulbs and stuff. But I would say if you're looking to have a really bright effect and you don't want to plug into power, I would probably suggest going into a battery pack, because you're just going to get that little bit more dependency, because again, as I've already answered the question, you've got quite a high canopy there, so you should get the sunlight, but you want to make sure that those battery packs, those solar battery packs, have enough time to charge in the 4 days that you're there. And if you've got a dull few days, you want to make sure that they do get charged as best they possibly can. So I would personally suggest a little battery pack. You can get them in D batteries, you can get them in AA batteries, and because they're daisy chained, you're not having to go around and switch them all on. You can just do one button at the beginning to do the entire length. Personally.
A couple of practical thoughts. You've talked about running a wire from tree to tree. We actually have some festoon up in our garden that I ran from tree to tree. Nothing like you've got. It's literally just a few trees in the garden. What I did, I basically cable tied tie wrap, I think I meant to say. The tie wrap, the lead off the lights to one of the thicker branches that's not going to move as much, and then I just pulled it tight to the next one. That's been up for a few months now. It seems to be fine. We have ours on a battery pack on that as well.
It depends on what stuff. If you want really, really taut, then I would suggest doing shorter lengths rather, because if you get a lot of bulbs in one string, you can get a little bit of sag from the weight of those bulbs, especially with big festoon lights. The other thing you can consider doing, which I'm actually doing with one of our brides in September, is they're having a marquee, and then they're going to have festoons coming out of the marquee, is to try and get some stakes or some, you said about 3 metre poles.
Yeah, so just long poles, pioneering poles.
Yeah,
or
get them dug into the ground and have them coming on offshoot, so you get the effect from the static place like the marquee, but coming out in lengths that way, and that can look really pretty.
I tell you what, I have seen actually at a wedding in August, they had that, but rather than burying the wood in the ground, which is obviously problematic, they'd attached it to some wooden tables and chairs, well not the chairs because people need to move them, but screwed it to wooden tables, and it come from the marquee to that, and the table was a big picnic bench so it could cope with the weight. I'm just trying to think of other ideas. I'm a huge fan of simple solar markers, you can buy from whatever shops, I'm sure Walmart sell them, but over here, anywhere from the range to your local garden centre. But I would say, going back to charge, if you're going to buy them, get them a week or so before, shove them in the garden, so they just get used to that day-night process, so they just get a bit more charge in them for the event.
And don't forget, you can do it in so many ways. You could just use shepherd's crooks at low level. If you're trying to line a path to a toilet block or to the bar area, you can use shepherd's crooks to get lower effect. Or, do you know what? Wrapping around the trees.
Yes. Funny enough, I was just thinking of coming down
wrapping around the trees can make it look absolutely magical, because literally you have the forest and you have it's just just key trees with wraps at the top. You can get some of your uplighters onto them just to make them focal points. It looks absolutely stunning.
And the website we use, they sell so many different types of solar powered lights,
and there are other alternatives,
little floodlights and everything. So definitely, hopefully that will help with that answer.
Yes.
So the last question is from Sylvie, wasn't it?
Sylvie couldn't make it on today.
Yeah, she can't make it on. It came via email, but she's basically. I'll let you explain this because you got the email.
So every week I love talking to Sylvie because she's got such an unusual wedding going on. Sylvie is French and she's marrying a Jamaican guy, and they have both their families coming on to have this massive celebration, and they are having a celebration which is an evening one. So they are having their service at 5. And then they're having their food and the entertainment and stuff like that, and then leading up to the disco style part of it at midnight, which to me, I'll be
midnight. I'm asleep.
I'll be in bed by then. But it's the question of having non-amplified music at that time of night, which is not a common one. If you're in a field in the UK, most of the time you've got covenants on the land and legal requirements to make sure that there's no amplified music. So they're having a silent disco. Now the question was, how many out of 170 guests, how many headsets to buy or to hire for that silent disco?
Wasn't there another activity at the same time at midnight?
There's games and things going on.
There's other things going on still. It's not just a silent disco.
To be fair, I would look. I don't know what your entire guest list is like. I would look at your guest list and consider 170 people. Out of those 170, who's going to have retired early by then? Because there are people like me who are sad Saxon would be in bed by 9.
Hello.
How many children are attending, if there are any children attending? How many more elderly people are attending? And are they likely to want to partake in that kind of activity? Because it's quite a strange... I love a silent disco. I've been to several, but they are quite a strange phenomenon, aren't they?
Yes.
Sitting there with your headphones on and kind of just not talking to anyone. I would say half your number, maybe up to 100 is probably a...
I was thinking a third to a half, something like that.
What you don't want to do, if you've got a bunch of party animals who are all coming on and they're likely to want to do that kind of activity, then up it a bit more, because you don't want to have all 170 all want to do it at the same time. But the likelihood is at midnight, if you have two separate families who've got different ways of celebrating or different bedtimes, that kind of stuff, 100 would be maximum, I reckon. Maximum.
Yeah, no more than that. And I guess budget needs to be taken into consideration as well. If your budget is flexible, then you put that extra little bit on just to ensure that you've got enough. If your budget's not as flexible, then a third of 170, sort of, what's a third?
A silent disco is a really, really fun. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I do this a lot, and he always moans at me at the end when we press finish.
No, it's fine. After 11 years, I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
I'm really sorry.
Keep going. And then I'll talk.
Silent discos are really amazing fun. I mean, you can get like 2 or 3 different channels going on. So you've got some people doing proper old school kind of 70s jiving. You've got other people kind of doing harder sort of. I don't even know my music. I don't really know. but you've got two very different. You've got two different styles, and then you're just watching the entire room. And if you're at the bar and you haven't got your headsets on, you can just watch this entire weird kind of scenario playing out in front of you, and they're good fun.
They are good fun. I kind of feel I need to be honest, right? We had a domestic about 2 minutes before going live. So at the start, we were probably a bit frosty because we literally had an argument before sitting down and pressing go. But it now feels like 15 minutes in, that's gone, and we're now a bit more relaxed. So apologies, everyone, for having to sit through our domestic, but everything's now okay. So
just about.
Yes.
Has anybody got any questions for us today? It's a bit quiet on the live today.
It is. This is our quietest. I mean, I've got two different bits of information. That one up there says Leslie, Danielle and Gemma are watching, and this one down here says no one's watching, which might mean some people have come on and gone off. I don't really know. But if not, you know.
If anyone is watching, can you put a comment down now?
Or a thumb up. I like thumbs up, please. Thank you. So let's gloss over that.
No one wants to talk to us today.
No, it's fine. It's not a problem. It's probably because they knew we'd had a domestic before we started. Right, come on. So that's it for today. We'd like to thank you all as
someone's come on now. Hello. Who's there?
Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
We're just actually wrapping up, Laura.
Unless you have a question
have a question, we're just about to wrap up. So
give you a second or so, just in case there's anything you want to hear.
No, this obviously is going to be in the group to watch. Hello. We were feeling well unloved, so thank you for coming online, Laura. It's okay. 15 minutes of talking to my wife, who I live with every day. I'm joking. No, you know I'm joking. Yeah, Laura, if you have a question, fab. Otherwise, we would just say, and we're absolutely happy. No, all good. I will watch on catch up.
Laura, today, just to give you a summary, we have talked about
generators and power.
We have talked about fairy lights and festoons and how to erect them and what's best to solar lights versus battery powered lights, and we've talked about the jolly good silent disco.
Yes.
So if that's of appeal to you, watch it on replay.
Is the argument included? No, it was a bit frosty at the start. So
I wasn't in my position at the designated time, and I was given feedback.
Yes, Emily walked in like she was Will Smith and owned the place, and I said, "Oh, darling, we need to
own the place."
Right, 50% of it. Come on, look, everyone cares about our domestic. Anyway, thank you all for coming on board. Laura, thank you for your comments at the end. And this will go on YouTube as always, and obviously be in the group to be watched if you want to know about these bits. And just ask us your questions, always happy to help. And we look forward to speaking to you all again next week. Last week, Emily did imply we may look at doing an evening one as well. Let us know if you fancy that in the comments. Just what time, what works, post kids bed, whatever else. So just let us know if your thoughts on that. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy the sun. Bye.